inside the 10, down to the 5.
Toward the Harvard sideline, he's across the 30 to the 40.
He's able to fend off the defender and bring in the game's first touchdown.
Yeah, so what is that podcast called?
It's called like Momentum.
Lucy Westlake, welcome to LA, welcome to SC. How are you?
I'm great. Happy to be here. I'm glad to be with you guys interviewing, and I love SC, so definitely happy to be at this school for sure.
Yeah, big change from Chicago, as we were
Yeah.
talking off air as well.
I'm looking forward to hopefully being tan the whole year around. We'll
That would
see.
be huge.
That would be.
Yeah. Well, we were looking at your story. We're all, really impressed. Obviously, it's incredible accomplishments. First or youngest woman to climb Mount Everest, right? And so we're doing some research. How did all this get started?
It's been going for a while. So I started climbing when I was 7 years old, and I started just climbing with my family. We're all like big outdoors people, love adventure, love nature. So we started doing this thing called high pointing, which is basically climbing to the highest mountain in each state. And
Saw
that's like how I started. And at first they were really small, but then they kept getting bigger and bigger. Like just like any sport, you get like more into it.
Right.
You did all 50, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did. I completed 49 of them when by the time I was 12.
Oh my God.
But then there was like a big gap because I went to
The last one.
Yeah, the last one was hard.
It's Alaska, right?
Yeah, that one's Denali, and that one is like one of the hardest mountains in the world. It's like almost as hard as Everest.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's an underhyped mountain because you just have to do everything yourself, like carry all your own food, all your own gear. It's very remote, so that one is very challenging. And I went when I was 13, but we didn't make it to the top because actually someone died when we were at like making our summit attempt. So they turned everyone around and just like evacuated us from the mountain.
Really?
Yeah.
How did they die?
It was from hypothermia and a mix of like altitude sickness as well. Just because that person went up and there's like, you can have like fluid in your brain and lungs. That's like what altitude sickness is. So he couldn't make it back down and he died of hypothermia. So that was like definitely like scary to be around, but yeah.
At 13 years old too,
Yeah.
especially.
Yeah, it's just something you have to like accept in the mountains though. Like it's such a risky sport. But I love it. Like that's one of the reasons I love it. I'm kind of like an adrenaline junkie. So I like that thrill of like the unknown and of that like adventure awaiting. But I mean there's parts that you just have to accept that come with it, like that risk and you can lose your life honestly at any time up there. So that was one of the first times that I'd like actually been exposed to that, which was scary. But we had to go back down, and then this past a year ago in June, I went back and I summited Denali, and then that's kind of I like completed that goal, and then now I've like been looking to other goals. My dad is like my climbing partner. My family did most of them when I was younger with me. But then my brother, I have a younger brother, and he isn't super into it, like the whole climbing aspect. He's more of like a team sport, loves like football, baseball, like basketball, like that type of guy. So he was like mountains, like no, that's boring. Right. So he stopped doing them, and my mom would like stay back with him. So then me and my dad started doing them. So he has climbed all of the mountains with me up until Everest.
Oh, and he didn't do Everest with you? So you did that one by yourself?
Yeah.
But you go up with like Sherpas, right? Or like, can you explain that? How does that work?
Yeah, so he actually went with me to base camp. We went with like a group of like 10 just like family friends and different people up to base camp, and then from there onwards, that's when like the real like mountaineering like technical part starts, where it gets super challenging, and that's when I was just me and my Sherpa, which is like basically a guide. It has to be a guide that's like from the Himalayas, from Nepal. So my Sherpa like literally was born on Everest, and he's
like on the mountain.
Yes, on the mountain.
So that's all they do. That's all they know.
Yeah, he was a monk too.
Oh my
for
God!
like
Wait,
a
that's
few
super
years.
cool.
He was 50 years old, and he'd been climbing. He summited Everest like 16 times.
I was gonna say he must have gone up it a million times.
I thought
like,
more than 16
Yeah.
if that's your job, right? Like that's his full-time job.
But people don't go up the whole way, do they? the
It
time?
depends. Some people just go to base camp. A lot of people don't make it to the top.
Yeah.
I think it's something like about like 50% of people who actually are attempting to get to the top do.
As in they quit or like, I mean, a lot of people die too, right?
Yeah, I want to say like a lot, but when I was up there, 3 people died on the mountain like while I was
My
up
God,
there.
when you went up?
Yeah.
There's been like 300 total, right, or something like that.
I think
on
so.
Everest.
Yeah, some years are worse than others. Like this year was a bad avalanche year.
Really?
Yeah, it's like the ice fall keeps melting more and more each year just because of like the climate
Warming,
change.
yeah.
So this year it was like crazy with
God.
the crevasses and the ice melt was insane.
Are they
So-
able to predict that at all? Sorry. for
No, go
cutting you
ahead.
off. But like, do you know when you're like starting to like, you're like, okay, I want to do it this year? Or do you know if it's like a dangerous
good
year,
year,
or if
bad
it's
year?
like, what's going on? It's all just really.
No, yeah, you never really know, honestly. It's like just you have to get up there and try. And people book like their Everest like expeditions so far in advance too that you honestly like you don't know. And some years there's amazing weather and it's like a lot of people summit. Some
Right.
years is really bad weather and there's a lot of deaths. So yeah, really unpredictable.
And do you see bodies as you're going up?
So I saw one body because they cleared most of them down like a few years ago. So like the really like famous ones that like a lot of people walk by, those are like all off the mountain,
Really?
or at least the ones that
Why
could
do they do
get.
that?
Well, they just like I don't know, they didn't really like it. Like they didn't want like a
There's
bunch
too many
dead
of them. They're
bodies.
getting in the way of the trail.
Well, I heard it's really hard to do that though,
Yeah.
right?
It
To take them down.
It's dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. That's why they don't do it very often. It's like only like a few years because it is really like you don't want to risk other people's lives to like get
Right.
bodies off of the
For sure.
mountain. So they did one a few years ago, but since then there's been like one person that died near the top and that you can like you walk past.
My goodness.
Why can't they helicopter up there and grab them?
It's okay.
Is it impossible to do that?
It's not impossible now. It used to be, but actually one person has actually flown to the top, but it's like a completely stripped helicopter. Like there's nothing on it. There's literally just the driver, and the driver is like carrying like nothing on him. So
Why
it's
is that?
super hard. The oxygen, the air is just so like thin that it can't support a helicopter. So it's
Really?
like that was like huge.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, no, it was like huge that a helicopter could actually get to the top, but like
Right.
to actually like put someone on the helicopter, it would like not work as of now. So
goodness.
they gotta like develop better technology and figure that out. But you can do evacs up to like Camp 3 is like the most you really do evacs for, and that's only when it's like the person's gonna die and like they can't walk down, they can't be dragged down or rescued or anything.
Can people like parachute off the top?
I wish. No,
You
I
get, like,
want
the-
to.
What are those wings?
Yeah,
the
you know,
squirrel
yeah, the
suit
squirrel
thing.
wings.
Yeah.
Oh,
Avalanche
I've
comes,
wanted
you
to
just
do
jump.
that.
You're like, nope,
I'm
not
out.
today.
No, I've literally like wanted to do that. I was thinking about that on like Everest. I was like,
Oh, that'd be
because like
sick.
hiking down is rough. Like
GoPro.
That's what I'm saying. that You're like, no one really cares about the down part. you know?
exactly. You get to the top and then you're just like, this is the best part ever, and then just like jump off. It'd be amazing.
Oh my gosh.
But I know some people do. It's just like apparently really dangerous. But
Well, I bet. And
Oh,
you're probably
people do that?
tired too.
okay, I've never seen it done, but I've heard rumors.
Really? It's like a myth, like one
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah,
Probably.
the squirrel
I've
man.
heard- yeah.
The squirrel man
He lives
jumps
in a
Everest.
tent. Yeah,
That's
tent.
wild.
Probably. Yeah.
That's
So like you walk by, like there's all these risks, right? You walk by the body, like you hear about people dying, like what's going through your head? Are you like just keep going? Is that even like a thought process, or like are you mentally prepared going into it?
Yeah, you definitely got to be mentally prepared going into it. And you kind of, like, everyone has their own, like, I'd say, like, risk, kind of, like, what they're willing to risk, you
Sure.
know, up
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
their risk threshold. So, like, some people hike very conservatively and,
Like take longer time.
yeah, take
Okay.
longer time. And then if there's, like, any bad weather, they don't go up, like,
Yeah.
things like that. And then some people are, like, very risky, like, do it, you know, without oxygen and, like, go up even if the weather's not amazing. So, like, everyone
Yeah.
kind of has their own, like, hiking, their mountaineering strategy. And like for me, I'd say a lot of the times I'm like with a guide, so I like don't really have complete control over that, but I'd say I'm like in the middle, kind of like I definitely want to get to the top, but like the main priority is, you know, making it back
Being
down
surviving,
alive.
yeah.
Yeah.
Living to tell it.
Exactly. So,
That's
but
crazy.
you do, like, I know going into it, I'm like, I always know that this like could be the end, you know, like this could be
That's
I could never
crazy,
like
dude.
yeah, which I don't really think like, you know, this is gonna be it, you know.
Yeah,
I don't like
right.
do things to put
Well, you
myself in
can't,
that
right?
position, but
No, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, football is a lot less dangerous, but it's the same thing that you can't go onto the field thinking, you know, I'm going to get injured or being scared or frightened. Like, you have to go in and thinking, like, you know, all positive thoughts. Otherwise, you are actually going to get injured. So I imagine it's
Exactly.
something similar when you're doing something as dangerous as a climb.
oh
you know?
yeah, like same
Because
mindset.
something will happen if you have those thoughts in your head, right?
Yeah.
And do you work with like a mental coach, anybody that works with your psychology at all, like, or anything like that, or no?
I haven't. No, so when I was little, I was actually afraid of heights.
No
which
way.
yeah,
That's
What?
yeah, I was.
But I
Now,
thought you climbed all these mountains at like 8.
Yeah.
no, I did. I just like ignored it for a little while. Like I would just like kind of like
What?
like
You
push
just ignored
through
it?
You're like, I'm gonna die. I'll ignore that for a second.
just like focus on like the trail, not the cliffs. But then there was this like one mountain, and it was like it was like crazy drops on either side. It was like a knife edge, is like what you call like when there was like an 1,000-foot drop on one side and like a steep slope to another 100-foot drop on the other. So like if you fell either way, like you were gonna die. And I like made it up and down that, and after that I was like I trust myself, you know.
Really?
Like yeah, that was like my mindset switch. So I've never like worked with a mental coach, but honestly like climbing has been my mental coach. Like that has given me such a mindset that's helped me like not only in climbing but like in running, in life in general, like having that
giving you confidence through
Exactly.
your experiences. Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, and just conquering your fears. Like you gotta face
do
them
it.
to conquer them. That's like my belief, because like after that, like I've never been afraid of heights since.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really interesting because, like, you know, Alex Honnold, of course, the
Yes.
free solo climber.
Yeah.
So he says something similar where, like, a lot of people on the outside think he's this crazy maniac who, like, just wants the thrill. But if you watch the documentary Free Solo, which is, like, one of my favorite, like, things I've ever seen, honestly. Like, I was sweating. Like, it was like, have you seen it? Oh, that movie's insane.
Really?
Yeah. But the way he describes it is that he's trained so much for this one thing that it's more dangerous for him, for example, like go on the freeway, like in a major city, than it is to like climb this mountain that no one's ever done before, because he's just so good at it.
Yeah.
So is that kind of like the thought process you go with? Like, I'm trained for, like I'm ready for it, I have confidence in this thing that nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah. I mean, yes and no. I definitely don't think like nothing's gonna happen, because there's some things you just can't control, like avalanches or a storm comes in, things like that. But like with my abilities, like my coordination up there, like my being like technically like knowledgeable with the ropes and everything, and just like my strength. I definitely trust myself. Like I've been in enough situations that every mountain just kind of builds my confidence and builds my skill level as well. Like each mountain kind of teaches you something a little different. And I don't really put myself, I definitely like push it. Like, I mean, you kind of have to, like jumping to Everest, like that was something that was definitely out of my comfort zone a little bit, but like not so much where I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing, you know.
Right.
Like I was definitely like, I was prepared in a way for it. So yeah, just like kind of taking those small steps. Like I've been climbing for a while. So I know what it takes. I know what my abilities are in the mountains.
Did you have any scares ever where you're like, you slip or anything like that, where you're like, oh, I thought I was about to die right there?
Yeah, there are some moments like that.
Really?
Like there's I mean, at the very top of Everest, it's like an hour from the summit. There's this like the hardest part, the most technical part of the mountain. It's called Hillary Step, and it's basically this really slick rock. And when you're on such snow and ice, like glacier most of the time, and you have these things on your shoes called crampons, which are basically like huge spikes on your shoes.
I saw that on your YouTube.
Yeah. Then they're amazing when like you're in snow and ice. Like they basically like you're like Spider-Man, you know, like you can just like go up the mountain. But on a rock, they're horrible. Like they're like walking on like little spikes on a rock, so it's so easy to slip.
Or like cleats on concrete.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that. So so I was like going up, and like almost everyone was like slipping and on this rock, and like if you slip down the rock, there's like a huge, like there's a cliff right there.
You're just looking down. Oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
yeah. Like the key is to not look down. Honestly, just like just don't look
Don't
down.
look down. Don't look down.
3 weeks straight, you will not look down.
Just eyes up on the sky.
Yeah.
No, so they're
Neck
like.
pain waiting to happen.
Right?
True. I'm surprised I don't have neck injuries, honestly, from that. But you were literally just held onto the rope
Yeah.
that you were on, and even if you slipped, like just hold onto the rope. And that was like I partially slipped on that part, and I was like so scared. I was like, oh my gosh,
that's wild.
like you just gotta like jump off the rock. So there's definitely some like instances like that. Like there was another time when me and my Sherpa were in this part of the mountain called the Khumbu Icefall, which other than Hillary Step is like the most technical part, and it's basically just a bunch of huge crevasses, and you have to just find a way through the crevasses.
And what's a crevasse?
It's okay, so a crevasse is basically like this big hole in the mountain. Like there's ice, but then the ice cracks, and there's huge like just holes, like big and sometimes they're small, like they can be anywhere from like a couple inches wide to like can swallow a whole bus.
Huh.
So there's
So what's the strategy with that? Like you have to go around it, or you go
Over it?
over? Yeah.
What are
We're
those?
looking at some photo.
Oh yeah, those are crevasses. So there's a combination. Sometimes like there's ice bridges and you can go over it. Sometimes there's ladders, and you can walk over those or climb up them.
Okay.
And there's a lot of like ropes that you have to like pull yourself up. You have these things called ascenders. They're like this tool that basically allows you to pull yourself up the rope, and then you won't fall back down. And then some you have to go around. Some are just too big or too dangerous to go across. So there's these people up on the mountain called ice doctors, and they basically every day they go up into the ice fall, and they find the route through the ice, and then everyone else follows their path. And yeah, it's
are they
crazy.
Sherpas, or is that different from a Sherpa?
Yeah, there's different classes in Nepal. So
Okay.
they're like based on like caste systems. So a lot of the times the Sherpas are like the highest class caste
wow.
system, and then the ice doctors and the porters are like a lower caste.
Okay.
So yeah, it's like kind of
cool.
yeah, it's like
Like a
it's very
hierarchy.
interesting. And yeah, the hierarchy. So like to be a Sherpa, you're like just born into this class, and
Really?
then yeah,
So, like you're trained from a young
That's
kid. You're
sick.
born on this
You
mountain.
have to be like
How
agreed.
insane
You
is
have to
that?
be in
Yeah.
yeah.
That's crazy.
They're probably
It
lung
is.
capacity is insane.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. They're amazing. Like these people, you will not like it's so like inconceivable what they do. You know, like you see them like carrying so much weight on their back and
Wow.
not using oxygen, or using like barely any oxygen. And like people like me, like people from like like these like flat altitudes are like
Right.
dying, like having to use a bunch of oxygen, like feeling so tired. And they're just like, they're so used to it. They're just like running up there. It's crazy.
And so what is like your CO2 max? Like what is like your level where you're just like
Okay,
crazy?
I've never been like tested or anything.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, they've tested. Who did they test? The guy. Have you heard of NIMS? He did 14 Peaks as like the documentary.
I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
Okay, yeah, it's like it blew up on Netflix like maybe a year ago, and
Yeah.
he's like super famous in Nepal now and stuff like that. I actually saw him on the mountain. But he like they tested. He was the person who like did the 14 peaks, which is there's 14 peaks over 8,000 meters in the whole world, and they're all like in the Himalayas basically. There's almost all of them are in the Himalayas. So he did all of them like in a record time, like so fast, and they tested his VO2 max, and it was like crazy.
Wow.
awesome.
But my Garmin watch says like my like predicted VO2 max. I don't know if it's right or not. It's
Yeah.
like 66 or something like that.
Is that really good?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't-
66? Let's
Honestly.
look that up, Zach.
Fact check it.
Yeah. Top
Zach,
1%.
Zach, what's a
I
good
honestly don't know.
what's a good
What's a good-
CO2 max?
No, but I'd love to like get it actually tested. We'll see.
Wow.
They're pretty hard to get tested though.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure you have
Yeah.
to like. Don't you have to do a little bit about it or no?
Not much. I just saw it in the documentary. Like he was like wearing all these like.
Is that when you're
things.
wearing the mask and they hook up all that stuff when
Yeah.
you're running?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
But
It
you
looks
have to
cool.
get to your max and then like hold it for a minute.
Mm.
And it's like kind of hard. It's not super easy. you know?
Yeah. No, it's definitely hard. So
Wow.
I haven't done that, but that'd be sick.
Interesting. And you did a lot of other summits as well, like Kilimanjaro, which is taller than Everest, right?
No, that one's not as tall. Like Everest is like the tallest out of all of them. So
Okay.
Kilimanjaro is the tallest in Africa though. So after climbing the highest like 50 state high points, I wanted to do this thing called the Explorers Grand Slam, which I want to become the youngest person to do the Explorers Grand Slam, which is basically climbing the tallest mountain in every continent, and then also skiing to the North and South Poles. So
Whoa.
yeah, which would be really cool.
Oh yeah,
What?
skiing it.
I didn't know you ski too.
Yeah. Well, I've never I like just ski like recreationally. Like I
That's
love
how she gets
skiing.
down the mountain. She doesn't
I
walk
would.
down. Dude, come on.
See you guys.
Everyone's
Everyone's like struggling. Yeah.
She like puts them on.
If I could, I would. That'd be so fun. But no, I love like skiing and boarding. I like grew up doing
Where do you
doing
go?
both of those. Okay, so I lived in Chicago area,
Yeah.
but I have this cabin where I was born and stuff in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan,
Oh.
and there's actually like an amazing ski hill up there. That's like
really?
backcountry. It's not groomed. It's like all black diamond. It's like
my
That's awesome.
yeah, it's
So you're
really.
a beast on the slopes.
I mean, I can get around. I can get around.
Do you like the cross country skiing, or is you like going?
I
down?
like downhill.
Okay, down.
Yeah.
But going to the North and South Pole is like cross country. It's
That's
like
what
a
I thought.
mix, but like mostly
Yeah.
like, it's like cross country, mixed skiing, like alpine skiing.
You gotta go to Mammoth and Big Bear out here.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Actually, don't tell my coach.
Would they get mad?
I wanna. Well, they're not. They don't like
The
it's-
climbing stuff?
Yeah. Well, my coach is actually really supportive of the climbing.
Okay.
Just not the skiing.
What? That's way more dangerous, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. Yeah. I guess
feel like
that's
it's
true.
more like opposite ends of the spectrum. Like climbing, you're
Yeah.
fine or you die.
that's true.
Versus like skiing, you
No.
can get a lot more like little injuries.
You could lose limbs.
How do you lose a limb without dying? If you're climbing a
No,
mountain.
you get
If
what's
you
it
get
called?
like helicopter evac, maybe.
But that's what I'm saying. That's the 1%. Versus you can get like a hurt ankle or like break a bone, break a
Skiing.
wrist.
Yeah, a lot of
like
knees.
skiing.
Yeah,
Yeah, or stuff like
ACLs.
that.
Yeah, I'd say it's like more common to get like little
Yeah.
injuries like that skiing for sure. But I definitely want to like check out Mammoth and everything like that.
Yeah, I've been wanting to go out here. I heard it's
That'd be
actually like really good snow.
Yeah,
Like
no, one of the
comparative
best.
to like a
Yeah, it's
Utah
pretty
or a
good.
Colorado. Yeah.
Definitely not the same as Colorado.
I don't know.
I've never been to Utah, but
Yeah.
Mammoth is pretty nice. Definitely for sure. Certain
And
years.
Big Bear is
too.
even closer, but I don't think it's as good.
No,
I've
yeah,
heard.
yeah.
I drove by on my way here. My family
Oh,
like
for real?
drove here, and I was like, I want to check out Big Bear and see if it's
Oh,
good.
sick.
So we like drove by, and it looked like it didn't look as big as like the Colorado ones, but
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it seemed good.
Yeah, I grew up skiing in Colorado
Oh.
since I was little, so
Where
it's
at?
so much fun. Vail.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
that's awesome. I've
was so
never
much
been
fun.
there, but
Yeah.
I
It's
want
real
to.
nice. Have you ever been to Steamboat, dude?
No, but it's right next to it.
Yeah, Steamboat. They
Yeah,
have
yeah.
this thing. It's called Champagne Snow, and it's just super fluffy. Like it's like really
Oh.
magical. It's fun.
That sounds so fun. I mean, Colorado's not that far. It's worth it.
Yeah,
Worth the
exactly.
Yeah, it's not
trip.
that far at all. Yeah,
Yeah.
Utah's there too. Okay, so there's climbing, skiing, and you're doing like ultra marathon, like triathlete stuff as well.
I've done triathlons in the past, and they're like, so I did it as like a competitive sport. That was like my main sport. Actually, I switched to running. I mean, I've been running since I was like in first grade as well. But
As far as like cross country.
yeah, like
Okay.
cross country, track, all of that. But I got really into triathlon like 7th through sophomore year, and that was like my main sport at that time. And the reason I stopped it was just because there's more opportunities to run in college than in triathlon because it's a smaller
Yeah.
sport. It's like for women, it's a D1 sport, but it's smaller now. There's like schools that
wow.
are just getting it. So I wanted to go into a program that was like super well established, and I love running. Like I love triathlon too, but like I wanted to run in college. But for triathlon, I did like these. They weren't like ultra like really like Ironmans or half Ironmans. I definitely want to do those when I'm older for sure. But they were like really basically like the youth and junior circuits is what it was called. And it's like 800. It takes about an hour to do it, but you're going hard for that hour. It's almost like
yeah.
like a longer cross country race. But it was super fun. I loved try.
And did you use like the cross country to train for the climbing, or are they not related, or what? How did that come into play?
Yeah, no, I don't really train for climbing, honestly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just run. because-
I feel like grip strength would be like a really big.
Yeah, that's true. I do. So I haven't done a lot of like rock climbing in my mountaineering just because like there's not a lot of like Like the mountains
Well, it's
I've done
different,
so
yeah.
far, there's like different mountains all have different elements.
Right.
So like on one of the mountains I've done, Gannett, which is in Montana, like that was like rock climbing. But which I'm pretty decent at rock climbing. Like I'm not like, I don't do it a ton. I'm not amazing at it, but like I love it. That's like my favorite aspect of climbing is the rock climbing part to it. So that's like, but I've never like trained for it. Just because I've never like had a coach or anything
You just
like that.
get out there and figure it out, or
I mean, basically, and also like the mountains I've done, like the skills kind of add up, you know.
Okay.
So I like running keeps me in amazing like
Shape.
cardio shape, and then I like when I was in high school, I just like weightlift on the side,
Right.
and now that I'm here, I get like the running and the weightlifting just like built in. And that gives me enough fitness to get to the top of these mountains. And then the skills have just added up over the years, like using your ice axe, which is like basically it's this pick that you have. Like you have to be really skilled with your ice axe, crampons, learning like rope technical skills like that, and then how to use like an ascender. Like a lot of the mountains I've done are glaciers, so they're not like rock climbing per se. It's more like glacier climbing, like ice climbing. So a lot of it is like learning how to like use your ascender and like get up ropes that way. So there's definitely like every mountain has like a different aspects to it. But the one I'm hoping to do this upcoming Christmas is in Papua New Guinea.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's the tallest one in Oceania. So that's like going back to the Explorers Grand Slam. I've done 5 of the 7 summits, and then I still have
wow.
to
We're
ski
getting
the-
there.
we got 2 more.
Yeah.
So it's that
Two more
one,
to
and
go.
what's the other one?
That one, and then the tallest mountain in Antarctica, which is Mount Vincent.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and then I need to ski to the North and South Pole. So I'm hoping to break the record. I have to do it in the next year, basically.
That's pretty soon.
Yeah, so I have like
1
a
year.
year and a half. So
God.
this
Have you planned it out yet?
I have. So this like winter, I'm hoping to do Papua New Guinea's like the tallest one in Oceania, which is Karsten's Pyramid, and that one actually has a lot of rock climbing. So I'm like super excited for that one. And then hopefully in April I'll go to the North Pole, ski to the North Pole. And then next year over winter, because there's very specific climbing seasons for all these. Like you
Okay.
can't do it in the summer, which would be great because that's like my off season.
Yeah.
But none of them are like you can do in the summer.
Yeah.
So the South Pole is over winter break. So I'd go climb Mount Vincent, which is the tallest mountain in Antarctica, and then also then ski to the South Pole just in one expedition.
Goodness. So are these gonna be like, they pose different challenges, but overall, I mean, I'm assuming Everest is probably the most challenging of them all, right? So like, do you feel like you kind of like already gone through the hardest part? Like these are gonna be easier?
I hope so. We'll see. I don't know because I've never like really done skiing like that. Like I've like had a lot of skiing experience, but not like, you know, skiing to the North or South Pole, like
Yeah.
that type of experience. So that might be like just new and like out of my comfort zone a little bit. But I'm so excited. Those are like
How
the
does
ones
that? Can
I'm
you
most
explain
excited
that? Like,
for.
what do you mean by skiing to the North and South Pole? Like,
So
I'm
you
trying
go.
to wrap my head around it.
Yeah, no, that's a good question actually. So you're supposed to ski the last degree. It's because like each, you know how there's like longitudes and latitudes.
Mm-hmm.
You have to ski like the last degree to the South Pole. You don't have to like ski through it in the entire like Antarctica or entire North Pole. It's just the last degree of each one.
How far is that?
So I'd say I'm not exactly sure the miles, but I know it takes about a week to get to like ski there, and then and back as well.
It's a week straight of skiing.
Yeah, like skiing every day.
Jeez.
Yeah,
You just set
So
up,
it's just
like,
how many
camp at
hours a
night?
day? Yeah.
yeah. You just set up camp, and that's like kind of
Your legs are gonna be toast.
yeah. But
I ski for like 4 straight hours and I'm done. Like that's.
And you're going uphill because right, there's no ski lifts. Obviously, so you're going up
Yeah.
and downhill.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
you put on like skins on
Yeah.
the bottom, and
The
you
crop.
like go uphill, and then you like take off the skins, ski
Go
down.
down.
So my question for all of these is like, who's who says like you got there? Like for you to, is it more just like yourself, or is there somebody like stamping it like
At the top, there's a guy in an office. All right,
Oh god, that'd
here
be
you go.
awful. You have to like be positioned at the South Pole. No, okay, so basically
like
like
to get the world record, or you know, like for
yeah,
you
for them to let you on the mountains, because that's a big part of it. Is like
Oh, they won't even let you on.
when I was younger, it was really hard to get on mountains just because I was so young. Like when I
Really?
went to Denali when I was 13, it was like it took so much convincing for a guide company
And
to
who's
actually
they? The
take me.
Sherpas?
On Denali, it was like different guide companies.
Oh,
So there's
companies.
there's like 4 or 5 different guide companies that guide on Denali, and
Okay.
every mountain's kind of different. Like different guide companies guide up on Everest. Like you have to have a Sherpa.
You have to?
Yeah. It's like required
Okay.
to have a Sherpa because that's like their entire economy is based on Everest. So like they
Sure.
want that income.
Oh, do you have to pay them?
Yeah,
Oh,
you
okay.
have to
You thought it was
pay.
for free?
Well, I don't know. I thought it was for safety.
I wish it was for free. That would
Is
be
it
so
expensive?
nice. It's really expensive. That's actually that's like the main thing that like I'm not sure if I'm gonna finish the Explorers Grand Slam is because of the funding because it's so expensive to go the North and South Poles especially.
You gotta get a GoFundMe going.
Yeah, no, actually, I'm looking for different sponsors and I have like some
actually?
sponsors and things like that. But just getting sponsors, getting donors. But the main like how I climbed Everest was there's this company. I don't know if you ever heard of the cereal Grape Nuts. Like they're like this.
No.
They're related. They're like under like Frosted Flakes and stuff. They're like a part of that.
Oh, this is a cereal?
Yeah,
Oh.
I
I
got.
just wasn't expecting
Yeah.
that.
No, it's like a cereal company.
Okay, and they
Yeah.
sponsor like climbing expeditions?
Well, sometimes it was like their 125th anniversary, so they sponsored like 10 different female mountaineers that
Oh,
were like
wow.
climbing
That's
on
awesome.
Everest and then the South
You
Pole.
just have to take a picture with it at the top, just
Yeah.
eating cereal.
That would be so hard. to
I did
add.
eat it. It
That'd
was
be
awesome.
At the
so
summit.
fly.
Like a little bowl.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That
What
would
do you
be
eat
sick.
when you're doing all these? Do you have like your
Oh.
go-to meal or?
Good question. Okay, so it kind of depends on each mountain. Like Everest, there's so many people who climb Everest. It's really like there's a lot of infrastructure there. There's a lot of just like things already set up for you. So there's actually like chefs at base
way.
camp and then at camp 2.
Oh, wow.
Live.
But then like some of the camps, like the higher ones, you just had to bring your own food and like cook it yourself. So you bring a stove and it's powered by, you bring a bunch of like gas canisters up and then you can melt snow and all your food has to be like, you just boil water and like pour it in like
That's the water
freeze-dried
you're
food.
drinking.
Yeah, you drink that water, you make your food with that, or you just have food that like is like snacks like bars,
Granola or something.
granola, things like that. Yeah.
So
I was-
nothing you always get or eat.
Yeah, actually, okay, so
Burgers.
I'm like,
My
I
burger's my
wish.
before the summit. It's the pre-game meal.
wish.
Pizza at
Oh
the
my
top.
gosh. No, there was one time though, I was climbing and these people were cooking hot dogs. Like, I don't
Actually?
know how.
There's
I
a
don't
barbecue
know
going
how.
on. Some dude brings a TV out.
It was
Watching
crazy.
NFL Sunday, dude.
It was
It's
like,
wild.
like literally like a week into the climb. Like these people have been carrying these hot dogs for like a week. And they were like making them and I was like trekking into like camp and I was so
Another hot
tired.
dog.
And they were like, "Do you want a hot dog?" And I was like, it was like the best moment I've ever had. It was amazing. But like usually it's like freeze dried meals. So it's like
Right.
stuff that's like dehydrated and then you pour the water into it, which honestly sounds bad and it's like not that bad. Like it's like there's
It's not
some
that great
that are
though
really
either.
good. It's not great. It's not good. No, but I love granola. Like I make my own granola and I like bring it
What?
up.
How
yeah.
do you make granola?
It's actually like really easy. It's literally like oats, a bunch of nuts, and then like maple syrup, almond butter, vanilla.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'll send you the recipe. It's really good.
Yeah,
I
interesting.
bet that.
Yeah, and
Oh,
then
you make it on the climbs.
No, I make it before and I just pack it like
Okay,
for
okay,
the
okay,
entire
okay.
climb and like just carry it up. You
Yeah.
gotta carry a lot. That's the hardest part for me is just like carrying so much because I'm like super short and I'm like small, so I'm like it's hard for me to carry that much, and
Yeah.
that's like the main thing that's that like people kind of look at me and they like laugh sometimes. They're like, "You're like tiny. Like what do you? How do you
How do you
get up?"
survive to
People
that?
are just laughing.
Yeah, she's just like climbing to the top. It's like, hey, she's small.
No, actually though, people are like so shocked because it takes like so much, like you gotta carry a backpack that's like, my backpack is literally the size of me. It's huge. It's horrible, but it's like, I don't know, I just like one step at a time. Like sometimes it's hard
Yeah.
for me to like lift up, but then like once it's on and I just like get in the groove, like you just do it, you know?
Yeah.
What's the pace? Are you always walking like the slow walk, or is it like
She
you
just
get
sprints up.
a little jog in there sometimes?
No, it's pretty slow. It's like
You
really
have her
slow.
sprinting up Mount
No,
Everest.
but
Oh my
like in the
gosh.
beginning, you know, get a little jog. You don't want to walk the whole time.
Okay, honestly, well, not in like the like serious mountaineering when it's like on glacier. Like you're always the key is to like not get out of breath, because like once you're out of breath and there's like so little oxygen in the air, it's like
Yeah.
so
Never get it
hard to get it back. Yeah, and it's like it drains you so fast. So you gotta like, I always time my breathing to my steps when I'm up there, and that helps me a lot, because you'll like you can get altitude sickness so easily, like headaches and things like that, and like
Right.
nausea, vomiting. So if you really focus on your breathing, then it helps you to not get altitude sickness as well, and just not get as fatigued and tired. But I'd say like before I get to like the serious mountaineering, when I was like trekking up to base camp, I tried to stay in running shape by like running, but like it lasted like 2 days. Like I ran like 2 times and I was like, this is
This is too
horrible.
much, yeah.
It was like I was basically like walking. Like the air is just so thin. Like
Yeah.
you just get out of breath immediately. It's crazy.
Is that one of the hardest parts? Because I hear mentally, like, you just almost lose it. Like, you can't even think. Like, I was listening to some videos, and, like, yours as well, you did kind of like you walked everyone through on your YouTube as you were going up the climb. And a lot of people had altitude sickness in your camp, too. Like you said, your dad got sick, and a bunch of people got sick. Like, how does it feel within your brain and, like, mentally? Like, are you just foggy and, like...
Yeah, definitely. And that's like one of the most dangerous parts. Like if you're actually like climbing, like physically climbing, and you like get like, you just get like dizzy. You get really dizzy. And then you can like, you can lose a lot of your judgment as well. Like
Yeah, I can
spatial
imagine.
awareness and just like I don't, just like normal things like, should I go up and down? Like
Decision
sometimes you
making.
don't have, your
Yeah.
decision making can go out the window as well, which is like really dangerous. You're just not getting enough oxygen to your brain,
Right.
essentially.
Yeah.
And then there's other like effects, like headaches is like super common.
It's terrible.
A
Do you
lot
bring
of people
medication
lose-
up, though?
Yeah, I there's this thing called Diamox, and it can like basically like you breathe out more carbon dioxide, so it helps you acclimatize and not get altitude sickness as much. But there are like definitely like serious health risks with Diamox as well, so I try not to use it. Some people use it just like immediately when they go into mountains, but I don't really like to. I like to do it more like naturally, so I like have it in case I need it, but I usually don't use it.
I wonder if you can hyperbaric chamber for like a period of time before you do a climb. I did that a lot
yeah.
for like my knee recovery afterwards.
It probably
Yeah.
gets you acclimated a little bit.
Well, not even the acclimation, but I think it just increases the amount of oxygen
Oh.
within your body. And I wonder if you could do it for like a month period every day before, and you just kind of like gives you a competitive advantage. Is that something that people do?
No, okay. It's actually funny you say that. It's like the opposite of a hyperbaric chamber. Like I have this tent I sleep in before. It like goes over my bed, and
Before
it's,
you go on a climb.
Hyperbaric
Before I
is
go on climbs.
extra air, oxygen.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But
So
this is like
This is opposite.
It's
yeah,
the
you get less.
opposite.
yeah.
Yeah.
That'd
But
be
it, like,
worse. You'd be really tired, dude.
I want the opposite way.
That's why, okay. I don't use it when I'm like in season running, because it's like it takes the oxygen out of the air, so it's like harder
Wow.
to recover. But it like you get acclimatized to higher elevations, so
Okay.
your body's already used to like the altitude. So it's like it's really nice. You can go up to like 13,000 feet just sleeping in this tent.
there.
It's
And
good.
how many days before do you start doing this?
It kind of depends. Like Everest, I was actually like I graduated a semester early from high school, and I just like traveled. Like I went to Africa for like 7 weeks and stuff.
Whoa.
So
What part of
So-
Africa?
I went to Kenya and Uganda.
Did you go on a
awesome.
safari?
No, I didn't. So I've actually been to Africa before, and I went on safari like then. I was like 12, but I went just like by myself this time, and
By yourself?
yeah, yeah.
Like, you didn't know anybody there. You're just like, all right, I'm going to Kenya.
Well, okay, I knew people. Like, I had a friend that lived in Nairobi. She's
Okay.
like a little bit older than me. She like just moved there, and then I knew people like in the running world, in Kenya as well, like a different part. So I went there by myself, and like my friend like picked me up and stuff, and then I stayed with her for like a week and like traveled around to see different water projects, because I'm really like involved with the world water and sanitation crisis. Like that's my passion. That's what I want to do after college, and that's what I'm here studying. Like I'm studying public policy, and I'm hoping to go into that field.
That's the master's I'm studying right now.
Oh, really? Public policy?
Well, international public policy.
Oh,
But
that's no, that's what I want to do. I want to do stuff like that in like Africa and everything. So,
Okay.
so I want to help with the world water and sanitation crisis. So I was like, I wanted to get a feel of like what would the need was over there before I like go to college and like really know what I want to study and what I want to focus on.
That's awesome. That was
So
really cool.
yeah, no, it was an amazing experience. I was there for 7 weeks, and I like traveled around like visiting different water projects, and then I stayed with these like runners. There's this high school. They literally like train the best runners in the world there, the best like high school runners. Yeah, in Kenya. There was one of the people I trained with, one of the guys. I ran with him twice. He was a lot faster, but he came back and won the LA Marathon.
No way.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
like,
So all the best
right
long
after.
distance runners come from this one high school in Kenya.
Not like all in the world, but like a lot of them.
Yeah, like
this is
disproportionate amount come from.
Yes.
And is it the way they're
Yes.
training or like?
It's like Bosco, like of high school.
Oh,
you
yeah?
know?
Okay.
Like, just a lot of them come out of there, right?
Yeah, for
Right.
sure. It was like Miami
No,
for football.
Not quite.
USC for football. USC
There you
for
go.
football.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, it's like okay, it's a
Like-
combination. They just like first of all, that's their way out of like there's so much
Yeah.
poverty there.
Yeah.
Like running is their only way out. It's like out of desperation almost. So that just gives them. I mean, like you can't get more incentive than that, really. They just want to come to the U.S. so badly to like get opportunities. And then also the altitude. There's like it's at altitude there, so that's amazing for running. And then there's lots of like mountains and hills around that area, and then just the coaching is amazing because there's so many other athletes around you. There's so many like good coaches that it just breeds like great runners.
Wow.
So I went over there and I like trained with them for
What was the high
Awesome.
school called
4
again?
weeks. It's called Transcend Academy.
Transcend Academy.
Yeah.
Wow. And so did you pick up like some tips over there?
Yeah, no, I like trained with them, and like the coach I was running under, he like has trained Olympians before, and
Oh my
awesome.
gosh.
yeah, it was really cool. They were like so fast, but it was definitely like a culture shock. Like I was like
I
living
bet.
like by myself and stuff, like with these like girls, but
And is this like like a suburb, like a village, or is this like in the city?
it's rural, like
Okay.
really rural, like
Like dirt roads. Like,
yes, dirt roads,
Like almost no infrastructure, no
yeah.
electricity.
No, there was like frogs living in my toilet. Like,
In the
Really?
toilet?
Yeah, actually,
Oh my
it was
goodness.
crazy. They were like
A
spiders
lot
and
of questions
bugs.
about
It was a shock. Like coming here, like and living in the dorms. I'm like, this is.
You're like, this is the
luxury.
life.
Yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
Galen's food's gas. I was like, I don't know about that one.
No, it was. You should go to Kenya. You'd
Yeah,
appreciate it.
that's funny. It's all perspective though, right?
Yeah,
like if
that's
you come
awesome.
from that, you're like, this is awesome.
Yeah, it gives you so much perspective. Like it makes you so grateful for
sure.
everything.
That's
For
awesome.
everything. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I have just one more question.
Yeah.
Do you listen to music at all, like when you're like climbing, or is that not allowed or able?
Okay, well, I love listening to music like all the time. I love music. But so when I was like trekking up, I always have my speaker like on my bag, and I was like blasting music, and I had like I had like a climbing buddy that, and him and me we would just dance the whole time up.
As you're climbing?
Yeah, as we were climbing, but like not when it got serious. That was only to base camp,
Okay,
and then
okay.
after base camp, he went back down. Like I was the only one who went up from base
Oh my
camp,
gosh.
with my Sherpa. So then after that, like you can't wear like headphones or you can't have a speaker or anything.
really?
Just because you have to be in constant communication with your climbing partner or climbing partners. And you're like roped up and everything, and you have to be listening for the ice too. You have to like be able to hear avalanches if they're coming, or like hear if
Yeah.
the ice is shifting. So you can't really after that. But like when it's not like on glacier, when it's not serious, I do all the time. But
Do you
but-
listen to any
yeah.
particular song or
Okay.
artist?
My
Meek Mill,
pump up-
Dreams and Nightmare on the way up.
My pump up music, I love Donda so much.
Really?
Yeah, like I love Kanye. Kanye is a big one. I love Drake. He's not really like pump up, but like when I'm like trying to like chill
Some of
a
the
little
old
bit.
Drake is like, all right.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Let's see, Macklemore. I
Oh,
love
yeah.
Macklemore.
You're telling
I love
us.
You're telling
Macklemore.
us, yeah.
Macklemore's the best.
But does that pump you up?
Yes.
Thrift shop.
Really?
Yes. No.
I'm not super familiar.
Can't Hold Us.
Okay.
Let's
there you
see,
go.
White Walls, Gold. There's a lot. Brad Pitt's Ugly Cousin. That's a good one.
That's a song?
Yes.
I've
I'm
never heard
telling
that
you,
before.
he has such good songs.
She's like, he's not a joke. We gotta take him serious.
no,
Oh my
but
gosh.
yeah, no, like things like that. John Bellion, I love. Chance, yeah.
That's awesome.
So, like, you're so young. Like, what happens after you've climbed all these summits? Like, is there like another like next step in the next like decade or so? Like, or have you thought that far even?
Okay, well, I like to do it like one goal at a time, you know,
Yeah, of
like
course.
set my sights just like on the next thing and not like think too much ahead.
Yeah.
Just like any like sport, you know, you want to set your sights on the next goal, not like your entire career.
No doubt.
But I do kind of in the back of my mind after I hopefully complete the Explorers Grand Slam. I kind of want to do like the 14 peaks, like the 14 peaks over 8,000 meters, like Nims did, like the guy that made the documentary and everything. Like doing the 14 peaks is like one of the hardest feats in the mountaineering world. I mean those are like the hardest mountains. So doing that would just be amazing.
And how many left do you have of those 14?
I've only done Everest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everest is the only one. Okay.
Yeah, so they're all, other than Everest, like they're all in the Himalayas, and Everest
Yeah.
is the only mountain I've climbed out there.
Okay.
But I want to go back for sure. Like I love the Himalayas are beautiful, beautiful
I
mountains.
can imagine.
Yeah. Thank you.
Learned a ton. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, of
And
course.
welcome to LA. Welcome to SC.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you guys. And yeah, where can people reach you? Like social media?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm mainly active through Instagram and TikTok, and both of those are What's Next Lucy.
Okay.
And then I also have a YouTube where I post about like big expeditions I'm doing. So I don't post like that regularly, but it's like if you want to look at my Everest climb, Denali, Aconcagua, that's the highest mountain in the Western Hemisphere. So big expeditions like that, I make a YouTube for, and that's just Lucy Westlake.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. That was
Thank you.
fun.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.